In this video, we are going to build Google search engine. That is, we are going to clone Google search engine, and this is the final project we are going to build by the end of this video. We are going to use React.js and Material UI for this project. If you are new to Material UI, I have a complete playlist. You can check the link above. With that being said, let's get started into this project. Before that, let's look at demo for this. Now, let's say I want to search for Node.js. When I type Node.js and I click on Google search, you see the loading, and then let's wait for some seconds and you're going to see the result for our search queries. So I can click any of these and it take us to the official website for the search query. Alright guys, so this is pretty simple project, but we're going to learn a lot in this. So without much talking, let's get started into this. So let's head over to our terminal, and as usual, let's create React app, and let's call this one Google search. Like that, hit enter. So let's speed up here. After 100 years, it has finished installing. So let's go ahead and install the dependencies for this project. So you're going to use Material UI for the styling, and so let's quickly, you can go to Material UI, mui.com, and there we go. So over here, let's click on documentation and click on install, and then I'm using John, so I'm going to copy this and let me go to my terminal and then paste it there. And let's also install the additional one here. Copy this one. I want to install them at a go, and I also need Axios, and we also need some icons. So let's search for icons. So like I said, I have a complete playlist for Material UI, so that's why I'm speeding up for the installation and other stuff. So let me paste it here, and then, oh guys, sorry, I need to cd into my project I created. Sorry guys, and then now I can install these dependencies for my project. So while it's installing, let's open a new tab and then open in our preferred code editor, and as usual, we are going to use VS Code for this project. Alright, so cool. So here, let's start creating our folders. So first of all, let's create one folder here and call this one components. We are not going to have much components. So let's look at the demo for this, the visual presentation. As you can see here, we have a nav bar, a Gmail, images, and icon, right? So we have two components, this one for search, and then this one when I search for anything here, let's call this one Node.js or React.js, and this template for the search queries is also one component. That's why I'm going to have two components. So I'm going to create one component and I'll call this one search.js, and I'm going to use a snippet or extension for this. So the extension I'm going to use is going to make our life easier, and the extension is RAFCE, sorry, is ES7, this snippet by this guy DS Niger. So if you install and make use of this snippet RAFCE, it's going to create a functional component boilerplate for you. So here we're going to use Material UI for the styling. So first thing, I don't need div here. I want to have some empty fragment or fragment, say that. And then in there, first of all, let's work on the navbar, and we're going to use the box component from Material UI like that. So inside here, we're going to have, so let me comment here and call this one navbar. All right, navbar here. And for this navbar, this is a parent, right? And inside, I'm going to have another box, and this box is going to hold the children, because I want to align this one using flexbox and push them to the extreme right of the page. So here I'm going to use typography just for those texts you saw on the page, and typography here. So let me call this one Gmail, and I can copy this one a couple of times, 3 times, and then the next one gonna be the images, right? So if you look at the final one over here, let me go back here, we have another icon, right? It's called search icon. And let's go to, okay, let's start a server, the React app, and see what you are doing. Okay, so let's go back to Material UI, and then let's search for let's click on search the full list of icons, and then let's search for apps. Yes, I think this icon, and then click on that, and then come back to the search component and paste it there. Cool. So here, instead of this app, you're going to render the apps icon like that. So let's check it out in the browser what we have. Okay, I have some error that I should create some file called .env and put it inside. If you're not having this error, then you are lucky. For me, they said I should add .env and paste this line of code, and after that I can clear my console and then start my server like that. Okay, cool. So while it's loading, we cannot wait. Let's continue. So now this one, I'm going to use flexbox for align these items. So I'm going to add a parent here. I'm going to use the access prop here, and I will say display is going to be flex, and justify content here. I'm going to use flex end, so I have to push to the end of the page. So there is an application running on port 3000, so I'm going to use different port for this. So let's see, it's opening here. Cool. Now, because you are not rendering anything, you are not seeing anything on the page. So quickly, let's render the app. So let's go to about app.js here, and let's remove everything from here, and then let's import the search component, auto import, perfect. And let me remove everything from this component, and I want to have just a fragment, and in here I can render the search, sorry, like that. So let's see what we have. Let's refresh it, and I believe we'll be good to go. All right, there we go. You see that it has pushed the extreme left over there. So let's go ahead and then try to work on that. Okay, so let's refresh it. Okay, it has pushed, or is it yeah, it has pushed. So now inside the children, I can use flex to align the children. So we have here, so let's also use the access prop here and say display also to be flex. So with this, now we have it like that. So let's have some margin between them. All right, so for the parent here, for the children, I will say margin right, let's give it as 4, and then padding top, let's say 2. All right, and then for the I want to have some space between these items too. So on the second one, I can use access prop here and say margin right 2, and then margin left also 2. Okay, check it out, and there we go. So we are done with the navbar. So the next one is the content, right? So we have the navbar here. So let's comment here and call this one main content. Main content as that. Cool. So main content, let's have a box here like that, and this box is going to wrap everything inside. So let me try to reload my Alright, so here inside the main content, I'm gonna have a wrapper, and for this wrapper I want to have some main height for that. So as you can guess, we're going to use the access prop for the styling. I'm gonna have the mean height for this. Let's give this one 90 VH, and then the next one here gonna be display to be flex as well, flex, and after flex, say justify content here, let's put everything in the center of the page. And then after that, let's also add align items to be center. And then the flex direction here, direction gonna be column to be on top of each other, right? So flex direction here is gonna be the column. Okay, pretty much of it. Now we are done with the main item here. So if you change the background color, so that let's see what we have done so far, and let's change this one to just red color to see what we have done so far. There we go. All right, so now let's remove that harsh color here, and next is let's work on the final one. Let's work on this item. So this is just a logo, an image I downloaded from Google itself, and this images. So I'll provide the images for you in the description below. So I'm going to place all the images I have here inside the public folder. So now I have the Google icon here, and then I have the Google itself, and I think it has left it one, and it's gonna be the, yeah, that is it. So we have two of them. All right, so here let's add the Google icon or Google logo here, and I'm going to use the box component for that, right? I like the box component a lot. So here for the box component is any valid HTML element or tag. So here let's say that I'm going to change this one to be accept image. So component, I will say img, and then the source of the image here is going to be inside the public folder. So I'll say images and then slash Google, that is the name of the icon.png. Cool. So let's save it and let's see what we have. Not this one, this one. There we go. It's at the center of the page, perfect as we want. And then what we have done here is that we are done with this one. So next one going to be the input, right? As you can see, the logic is that you put everything inside the input field, right? So the icons here on the left and right here are inside the input field. So I'm going to call this one input wrapper. So call this one input wrapper, like that. So here also I'm going to have a box, right? A box component for that. And this box, because it's going to be the input, here you're going to place the images and then the icons inside this box component. So here, before we add everything to that, here we have the search icon. Okay, will be here, first one, and then second one here is going to be the Google, this one. The first one is this one, and next one will be the Google mic. So let me call this one Google mic. Okay, so now I know that I'm going to place two items inside this input. So let me change this one component to input. It's going to be like that. So the component here is going to be the input. All right, so let's do that. And then here I can add more values, for example the values, and we'll change that. But let's tie this one a little bit. So here xs here, sx prop here, and then inside that we're gonna say display to be flex, like that. And then after that I will say justify content also to be center of the page. And then after that I'm going to say the weight of the whole input is going to be 40%. All right, 40%, like that. So after that, let's have some padding x, that is the right here, x here, that will going to be the top and bottom here, 2, and then padding y, py left and right also to be 2. And let me add some border radius here. Let's give it 10, so that it kind of be a square or that kind of curve at the edges of it. So let's see, this is what we are building. There you go. All right, cool. So let me change the border color here to gray. So I will say border here gonna be 1 pixel solid gray. Change this one, and now it's something like this. Right, on we go. So next is I'm going to add the icon inside that. I'm going to use the search icon, okay, from Material UI. So where is the Material UI that we search for? And let's search for the search icon here, and this one. So let's copy the link and go back to code, and then let's place it here. And now for the search, I can add the search. Sorry, it's not that, it's this. There you go. So let's see what we have achieved so far. This one might be children or not. Okay, so icons, we have an error. Input is a void element tag, must either have a children or strangers. Okay, so I think let's remove the input for now, and because it doesn't have children. Yes, cool. All right, so now you can see that we have it as that, right? So what we are going to do now is let's add the Google Mic 2 as the image, right? So I can copy, so here the same box component here, so box component here as that, and say the component this time around is going to be img, and then the source of the image is also going to be images, and then slash the images Google underscore mic dot png. That's what we have, and let's add the code here. All right, cool. So I think it can come here. All right, there we go. So let's see what we have. I'm not sure I'm requiring the real Google images. So images Google underscore is not like that, it's so big. So now we can add some width to this image. So XX here, and let's say the width of this, let's give it as 20 pixels, and there we go. All right, so now it's time to spread this one out, right, to the extreme. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to add flex direction to that. All right, so for the box icon here, now we have the wrapper. So next one going to be the input. Sorry, so here is just the wrapper, and we have the image icon here, and we have the wrapper here, the input wrapper, right? So after the mic here, Google Mic here, I'm going to add the input. So I forgot to add the input here, right? So here the box component as that, and now I'm going to do is the component this time around is going to be the input, because the input is self-closing. That is what, yes, there we go. Now when I add flex as 1 to this, it's going to push everything. So I'm going to add some styling to this input so that I'll not have some border around it. All right, so what I'm going to do is that here border here, sorry, let me add the SX prop and then add some classes to that. So the border here is going to be 0 or none. That is it. So if you save it, and now you see we don't have anything, but as soon as we click, we have that the state effect, and I don't want that. So let's go ahead and then remove that. All right, so after none here, we can say that okay, if I don't want to remove, I want to remove that state, I will bring quote and say and semicolon, and when it's focused, what I'm going to do is I want to change the outline to none as that. There is, when I click, you see that you don't have that effect. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to add flex 1, so I'm going to take the entire available space as required. So here let's say flex going to be 1. With that, you see that's pushed to extreme. There we go. But as soon as I type, I want the text to be at the center, so The only property I'm going to add to this is text align, and going to be as what, center, as that. So as soon as I type, see, at the center of the page. Cool. So the last thing about the designing part is the buttons, right? And I'm going to add the buttons below it. So now I have this, and now here, so let me call this one buttons wrapper, like that. Cool. So here, let's add the box component. Everything is box. That is CSS. Everything is a box. So I'm going to have 2 boxes, right? That's for the button, right? I'm going to have 2 buttons inside that. So let's go to Material UI and quickly let's search for buttons, and we can do that. So I don't want to waste my time here. So quickly, let me add a button here. First button, that one, I'll call this one Google search, as you saw. And then let's import that. If it doesn't import it for us automatically, let's see, I think it's imported. No, yeah, it's there, button imported for me. So I'm going to copy this one second time. Next one going to be I'm feeling good. Okay, so I'm feeling good, like feeling good. All right, so pretty much of it. So let's see what we have achieved. Now they are all inside that. I don't want that, so it means I have to bring it outside the, sorry, this one, this component, this one. So let's bring it outside the whole of the input, like that. And let's see, there we go, we have it. By the way, I want to change the text. Look at the final one, they are all in what, lowercase. So for the styling here, I want to have some padding. So let me go to the parent and then SX prop here, and I'm gonna say padding left and right, top, everything supposed to be 3. All right, cool. And then for the variant here, for the button, I'm going to add class for Material UI, and I'll call this one variant, and let me call this one outline. So, and then text transform. I want to have, let me add XS prop here, and I don't want that all lowercase. So XS prop here, SX prop is equal to be text transform, and let's call this one none. Okay, cool. So let me copy this one to be on the same styling, and copy the styling of this one and place it here. I want to have the same effect. Oh no, copy the XS prop as that and place it here. There we go. So let's see what I've achieved. There we go. All right, so the design part is complete. The next part is going to be the actual functionality of the project. So we are going to use API from Rapid API. So if you don't know, Rapid API is where we can discover a lot of API for your future project. And the one we are going to use, first of all, you need to log in with your email, or either email, or you can use your normal email and password to register for account. If you register for account, you can explore a lot of APIs here, and the one that we are going to use is called Google search. So if you type in here Google search inside the search column here, I'm going to have a lot of APIs. Okay, and the one that we are going to use, I think, is the first one. Let's see. And Rapid API makes it pretty simple. They just simplify the application, how the endpoint for us. So you can see here, you don't want this one, you want the second one. Yeah, the second one. And let's see the one that I use. Yes, I believe is this one. There we go. By this guy, API Geek. Okay, so Rapid API is a repository for a list of APIs that you can use in your future project. All right, and the one that we care most is about Google search. And as you can see here, they have given us all the endpoints that we can hit. And the cool part of Rapid API is that if you are not familiar with back-end development, sometimes if you're trying to call some endpoint inside your React application, you face what is called proxy, right? So you need to create your own server, and then you have to tell your React that, hey, the source of this one is reliable, right? So you can do that. But with Rapid API, you're not going to face that error, because you are going to make the request through API called Rapid API, and then therefore you can make any request without facing this proxy error. That's why Rapid API is really awesome, and we simplify how it's being used, right? So if you look at this one, all what you're going to use in this project is the search API. So if you click on that, and then you can see that test API. So we need to subscribe. So if you haven't subscribed to this API, you click on the free version, the free tiers, and then you subscribe to this. So if you do that, and then you can test the API, you can see that I have OK. It means everything is correct. And then we can use Node.js to make the request. So look at the structure of it. The one that we care most here is the query, right? You see, they brought in query here, and then equal to our search query, which is called elon, and then plus mask concatenation here. Indeed, there's some space in between that, and the number of items here is supposed to be 100. Okay, so here, if you want to know how it's being implemented, open the code here, and then if you're using Node, this is the code you can make use of that. And if you're because we are using React, it's JavaScript, and I like Axios, so I'll click on that, and this is the code we are going to use in our React project, right? So let's copy the code, and now let's come back to the search here. Now we are done with the search, so we're going to create one component for the result. So let me close all the ones that we have done with it in this project, close everything, and then inside the folder, let's create one component called result.js. Cool. So here, the logic is that when we click, look at the final one. When we click on this one, if there's no text, it's not going to navigate out from this page. So the logic is that if you type anything inside this, because there's something here, when I click this Google search, I want to take this input value here and pass it to the next component. That is the result we're going to create. So I want to pass this value as params here, and inside the result component that we're about to create, I can grab that value and make a request to that API to fetch that, and that's what we are going to do. So let me show you how you're going to do that. It's pretty simple to do. Okay, first of all, let's paste what you've copied from the Rapid API. So let's create a function here, const, and then let's say search query. And because we are going to talk to external API, I'm going to make use of async await here, and my function as that, and it's equal to, and let me paste that, the one you copied. All right, so let me take you through the request here. So let's bring in the Axios. All right, but for now, don't code with me. We will start from scratch. I will explain to you how it works. If you have never used Axios before, Axios is alternative to fetch, that's built in, but Axios make it pretty simple to make the request. But the way they did this, I think is too complicated. They just put the options and they pass into the Axios request and other stuff. So I want to simplify this. I want to show you how API request is being made. First of all, you need your method because it's get and the actual URL. Most of the API that you are going to work with requires you to authenticate, and we did that using the Rapid API key here. So it means that we have been authenticated. That's why we have the Rapid API key, and you can always authenticate an API request two ways, whether you pass as a header as that or as a query criteria here inside that. But in this case, we are passing the API key as a header. And the reason is being that, the reason why we are passing API key is that the developer of this API want to know how we are using this API for. And you're going to keep track how many requests you have made. For this API, we can make 600 requests in a month because it's a free version, right? So we're going to keep track how or the performance of this endpoint. That's why we need your API. So with that much talking, let me go ahead and show you how you're going to do it. Alright, so let me comment out these functions here, the one we copied from. Okay, cool. So now let's go ahead and then start the Axios. So Axios const, I'll make this one response, and it's equal to await, because I don't want to make use of callback here. So that's why I mark my function here as an async, and here I bring in my Axios, and I'm going to use .get here, and .get is the URL I want to fetch with. So this is a URL. Copy that, the whole of the URL, and then place it inside. Now we are done. For Axios, the first argument is a URL, and the second argument here is some options, right? So comma here and object, and here you pass in the headers, and then as object also as that. So here I'm going to pass in the values, and you can see that we have the user agent desktop. So the user agent, let's paste it here, means that the machine that you are making requests with, we are using desktop for the application, for the request. So you can even ignore that, it's not really important for us. All what we need most is this tool, but don't worry, let's bring in all these. These are all the things we need, and the location is from US though. And then the API host, copy that. This one going to help us to make the request, and then the most important part is the API key. And if you don't want to expose this, we can put this one into an environment variable here. Alright, so let's make this pretty very simple, so don't worry about that. Alright, so now we have that, and if you make the request, you're going to receive a response from that. So let's keep track of any error. So let's delete everything from here, because now you simplify it as that, as compared to the original function. So here we want to keep track when it's loading or error. So let's bring in use state, and the auto import is working here. So use state here, let me copy all this one here, and you're going to keep track of all these things here. So you can pause here and type. Now when the result comes back, you want to put everything into result, and then it's loading, keep track of loading, and there's some error, keep track of an error. So here, because we are making HTTP request to external API, we need to handle the errors and the loading gracefully. So let's cut everything from here and put everything inside try and catch. Alright, so inside this try, I'll paste this, and this error, when there's some error, you see that set error here, set error here, you can see that something happened. Try again. Alright, and here you also put set loading to false, because at this point it's no loading, it has finished, it has given us this error. So loading false here. Alright, cool. So inside the try, it means that the fetch is done. So here we can say, we can set my try here. Yeah, so here we can say that set loading here is also false. And here let's update our set result. Let's put the request, the response coming back from this response into this result, and we're going to use this function to do that. So all we're going to do is that set result, and the result is under response dot data and dot result as that. So if you console log, let's console.log the response coming back. So now let's call this function. Alright, so let's bring in use effect. The reason why I didn't create the function inside the use effect is because use effect doesn't accept async keyword. That's why we are doing that. So below here, let's make use of use effect to call the function like that. And here the dependencies here for now gonna be an empty array, and gonna be the search query as that. So here let's try and mount this component called result. So for now, let's go to the app here and let's import the result. and let's just render here. I want to show you whether you get the results or not. Alright, cool. So let's open our terminal here and let's see what we have achieved. So let's open the console, and now there we go. Did we see that? We have the result coming back. It's inside the data and then result. This is what we want. This is what we want. Alright, cool. So now it's working. So the next thing is we can now map through all the results and put them there. But let's handle this one instead of just adding. So if you look at the functionality here inside the result, the key point you take note here is a query here is equal to the search query here. Alright, so this is what we search. So if you type in here Node.js and let's check the console, let's refresh the project, and now let's wait for some time. It's loading, but there's no indication. Now it's back. So you can see, if you go look at the headers, the data here, and result, we see we have the Node.js and the link and description of the application or the request that we made. So instead of that, we can now make it more dynamic. So here, where is it? Yeah, there we go. So here we are going to pass the thing that we type in here into the params here. So let's do that one by using routing. Okay, so I'm going to show you React routing 6 is out. So let's search for React router DOM. React router DOM. That's version 6, and the implementation has changed the way we do for the version 5. So let's search for React router. Where is it? React router DOM. Yeah, this one, sorry. Okay, so let's see. Click on read documentation. So if you want me to do tutorials on the version 5, version 6, you can leave comment below and I will do that for you. Okay, so now let's install that. Let's go use the snippet using yarn. If you're using npm, you can do that. Shut down the server and then paste the code here, and let's wait while it's installing. So we cannot wait, so let's go ahead and do the routing. Alright, so quickly inside the index.js file, that one, there's no difference here for the routing. We're going to use browser router for that. So let's require the browser router from React router DOM, and let's remove the strict mode and let's inject the browser router around our app. Okay, just that. There we go. Cool. So next is, now we've wrapped the browser router inside that. So let's go to the app. Let's remove this one, app here. And now inside the app, let's also wrap the route. So let's import route. So for React router DOM, we don't have the switch anymore. So let's render that as a route here. And then for now, let's comment out this one, or let's remove them because we have them above over there. And then for React version 6, you don't need the exact keyword for anymore, and you don't need the switch anymore, and you don't need the component to mount your component, and we call something element. So let me show you how it's done. You also need the route. Okay, so it has imported above there, and next step is what? The path. Okay, so the path here, because I want the search be the home, I'll make it as the home route. And instead of the component, now it's called element. And for this one, you have to return, pass them as a component as that, and it's called, I'm going to use the search component. Alright, so let's see what we have achieved. So let's try. You can see it remains, oh, crashed down because my server is not running. So let's clear the console and then start the server. Yarn start. Okay, let's continue. So let's also render the result. So let's call this one result, and then here gonna be result as that. Sorry guys. Okay, let's see. Oh, run in different port. Okay, so here the logic is that because for this component I want to access the one that I type in here. Look at the final one. Let me show you. As soon as I type in here, let's type for React.js. When I tap with search here, you see I have it as param here inside that. So I'm going to grab this one as that. You see I pass in the React as that. So we're going to access that one as an ID. So /ID will render this component. So let's look at what we have achieved. So if I make use of /result here, I'm going to return the result component, but the result component is empty. So for now, let's go to the result component here, and now let's add some text inside. Say h1 and call this one result. So now I'm going to see something on the screen. Okay, but I want to access the value you're passing here as params. So inside the routing of the app here, I'm going to make use of / and then underscore term, the search term, like that. So here inside now it has changed. You see, so if I make use of / any value, it's going to render. So I want to grab the one we're passing here and pass in to the API, and that's what we are going to do right now. So inside the search component here, all right, I want to grab the value I pass in, and we can do that. So let's keep track of the value from the input. So here let's make use of useState, and for the useState here I want to make use of term, the one I search. For now it's an empty string, and the search term uppercase like that. So on the input, where's my input? This one, right? So now I have access to the value, and the value here is equal to the term in the state. And for on change here, I'm going to call this one. I have access to E, and then I want to update the set term, and I'm going to have access to event, the e.target dot value as that, right? Pretty much of it, that's what we want. Okay, dot value. So now if I type in anything here, so let's console log the term here. Let's console log the term. Sorry guys. So here let's open the console, and now let's go to search component. The search, as soon as I type something, oh, it's not returning. So let's refresh the application. Yeah, now as you can see, since I type anything here, I have access to that. So when I get that value, when I click on this button, I want to send this value to the param. And from React router DOM 6, we don't have the push method, but instead what we have is called use navigate. So let me bring React above here. I don't know why React is below that. All right, cool. So here let's bring in the use navigate for navigation instead of the push, and then redirect. Here we're going to use the navigate, and you have to call it as a hook. So const, let's call this one navigate is equal to use navigate as that, as a function. Cool. So now let's create a function for redirect. So when I click on the button, I want to send the value from here to the next component. So let me call this one redirect. So const redirect URL or path, whatever you name it is up to you. So this function will not take anything. So what I'm gonna do is that here let's check. So let's check. So if there's a value in the input, or if the user has typed something, then we can call navigate here as a function and pass in the path. Remember, the path must be exact as the way we did inside the app. So result and then slash some value which is dynamic. So here gonna be like this. Because I want to inject some dynamic value, I want to use temperate literal as that. So here slash and then $sign, and in here I pass in the term, right? That, and there we go. So now when I click on this button for the search, I want to render that. I want to call that function. So here on click is equal to redirect URL, and I want to pass the same function to both the I'm feeling good and Google search. So now let's try. If I type something in here and I type now, I see something in the URL. So how can we get even, did you see that? As soon as our component mounted, we have all these values in there. That is pretty easy, right? Oh, pretty cool. Cool. So now inside the result, we can now grab the value here, and we can get that one using React Router DOM 6 called use params. Okay, and let me show you how we are going to do that one too. So let's also require use params from React Router DOM and let's call it as a hook. It's a hook here. So here const here, then let me call this one params, and it's equal to use params as that. So if you console log params, you see that we have the value. So console log params here as that. Check it out and let's see in the console. There we go. That's what you grab. So let's go back again and type in here Node.js. I like Node.js. So type it there and let's see. We get it here. So now we are going to take this value and pass it to our request. So we are going to make some small tweak here to this. All right. So here, let's add some temperate literal because I want to receive the value in the param. So here, instead of hard coding node here, we are going to add the actual value from the param. And here, remember guys, is params.term because inside the app we set to be term. If it is ID, it's gonna be ID. All right, pretty cool. So here inside the result, let's add params.term so we can quickly destructure the term here, and let's pass this one to this one, and there we go. So now let's try. Make sure it doesn't exceed your. So now the params has been destructured. So here let's get rid of it. Make sure you don't exceed your request because you have 600 requests to make otherwise. So now let's search for CSS, and then let's search, and then let's wait for a while, and inside the console there we go. I think you got it, and the data here, and then the result and CSS, we have it. You see the search result is here. I love it. All right, cool. So now let's depend on the term. Assuming the term is not yet done, it's not yet fetched. If it's back, let's call this function again. So we're going to pass the term as a dependencies. So now that we are there, let's keep track. Now, oh, we have it here, the result loading and the other stuffs. So now we are going to make some conditionals here. Before that, let's structure the CSS using Material UI, and box here. The box is here. You can take this project and style it the way you want. So don't worry about the styling right now if it doesn't suit your need. So SX here is equal to the height. I want to give this main height. Okay, the main height or height. Let me get this one. Height of this one. Let me give this one as 100 VH. All right. So let's save it. And now I want to add everything to be the center. Make everything to be center. So flex display here. Display here is going to be flex. All right, I don't know why the auto import is not working, the IntelliSense. So let me reload the application and see. Okay, cool. Don't worry, we can type by ourselves. So now display flex and then justify content here. Justify content here, and let's call this one to be center. All right, so the next one after the justify content, and then align align items here also to be center, and then padding here, the padding for this, let's give this one padding as 10. So don't worry about the styling. All right, so let's see. Oh yeah, because the box is not required, that's why I'm not getting that. All right, so cool. So the box, okay, so now see at the center. So now let's make some conditionals here. If it's loading, let's display loading, or if there's some error, let's display error, or if there's no ID here in the list here, let's display loading. So let's remove the result here. Now let's check for loading. If it is loading here, it's loading, then let's display some h1 and say loading, and then dot. All right, and then if it's not loading and there are some error here, if there's some error here, let's also display the error h1, and then let's inject the error itself. All right, cool. All right, so if there is no error, but in the result, the results dot length is less than or equal to 0, you will say that h1 no result. All right, cool. But if there is result, then we can take the result here, and then we're going to map through the result like that, and here we get the result here, or the term, so just result. All right, result. So let's save it and bring on next line. Okay, the result here, and now let's render some JSX here. So what I want here, let's add some fragment so that I can add some children inside that. Okay, there we go. So inside here, because I want to display as a link, I'll make use of a tag here, and inside the a tag here, I can now inject the actual name, and it's called result. If you look at the console, we have what is called result.title. So with this, let's see what we have. There we go. You see, but they are in a row. I want them to be in column. So inside the parent here, I will say flex direction is going to be column, and check it out. Wow. Oh, comma here, and check it out. There we go. Perfect, right? There we go. All right, so let's make it a link. When you click on it, if you look at the result here, we have the link as what? As, so let's add the href here. The href for this is equal to the link. If you look at the result coming back, is under result dot link, like that. Check it out, and let's check. These are for optional chaining to avoid using AND operator. So if you're not familiar with the optional chaining, it's something like this. So we are always checking if there is a title. So you can say if there is result, then grab result dot title. Okay, so this line of code can be simplified as this by using optional chaining. As that is same thing. So now let's see. You see, now it's something that we can click on. All right, so now let's have some excess prop here, maybe some styling to this to make it more nice. How do you think about that? So the styling is up to you. So next is, let's add a description. So p paragraph here, and result dot check first dot description, and let's see. There we go. Wow, now I have my CSS. See, I click on this. Oh, you see it's opening inside the same application. So I want to open a different window, so I'm going to add some attribute called target, and it's equal to underscore, is equal to underscore blank. So if I save it, the application is loading, and let's see, let's now, oh, I didn't refresh it, that one the previous state. So let's wait and see. Now if I click on any of these, you see it opens the same window, and I still have my existing application. So guys, here ends the tutorials on the Google search engine. So let's try one more time, and now let's search for, or we can add some space between the button, don't worry. So let's search for, let's say, iNovoTech. That is my channel name, and let's see if you're going to have some result.